Well, spring has come. It's a beautiful time of year. I try to use spring as a catalyst for bettering myself and my life. Something to try to improve who I am. The constant controversy and conflict which surrounds us all. Something that most of us, I think, know that everyone has. Right away, that word Sonder comes to mind. The realization that everyone has a life as complex as yours and that they're not actors in the play of your life. That we're all just playing our game the best we can. My message for the day, I guess, is how to deal with assholes in the world. It's really a simple thing, but we make it more complicated than it needs to be. This arose from a conversation I was having earlier with, I think it was my oldest son. We were talking about how some people just want to argue and fight for no reason. They want to insult others, and whether it be physical, mental, or otherwise. I believe now it stemmed from a conversation we were having about my 6-year-old son and possibly getting him into karate. And I was talking about how, it teaches responsibility, and he said something to the effect of, it teaches us, as well to defend ourselves. And I said, the beauty about martial arts is that once a person gets to a certain level, they realize that they learn how to get themselves out of the fight without ever getting into it. And that's really the long-term goal. You learn that it's not to learn how to fight, it's to learn how to not fight. If we can apply that to our daily life, we can do many different things with it. A good example is internet arguments. It seems like every couple weeks there's somebody who decides to come to my channel and try to rough me up and insult me and tell me I need to do this, need to do that, and I generally, let it go pretty easily. Make it a point not to tell a person, hey, fuck you, you're a dumb shit, you're a douchebag, because that gets nowhere. Even though I know inside it's true, and they know inside it's true. But you realize in the long run that it does no good to argue with people, especially if they're abrasive and hateful. So what's the solution? Well, it's much easier than you may think. You just hit the block and mute button. You can do that on just about any site or forum, YouTube, Facebook, anything. So we hear about people who are getting harassed, trolled. But the truth is that it's really simple to escape that by hitting a button. And what I've realized is that many people choose not to hit that button. Sometimes it's people fear that they may be ridiculed for editing somebody else or not allowing a person to comment on their channel or what they're saying. And that's ludicrous. If somebody was coming around in your yard and harassing your family, you'd kick them off your property. It's the same thing. The internet, of course, is a free domain, and people can go on there and say and do whatever they want, but it doesn't mean we have to listen to what others have to say. So I think that the solution is to just learn how to ignore people. And what I found is that most of us don't want to, and that's why the karate thing ties in perfectly with that. That once you've learned enough about how to defend yourself, you find that you don't need to defend yourself anymore, because you're not causing the kind of trouble which forces you to defend yourself. And I was saying that, if a person, often, even a person who's very abusive and hateful, and you meet a person in a bar, let's say, and they come up and they don't like the way you look and they want to fight you for that. If you have a way with words, you can get yourself out of any fight. When I was in school, I was never a fighter, but I definitely knew how to get myself into conflict with people. But I also knew how to get myself out of it. I only got in one real fist fight when I was a kid, and that was, I guess it was 8th grade, the first week of school. Some guy had been calling me names, and it was one of those things where I'd learned to just blow it off and ignore it, even at that age. But it got to the point where I knew that it was going to be a whole another year of this if I didn't do something, so I pushed him, and he came back and socked me, and then one thing led to another. I had him in a headlock, and we ended up fighting, and by the end of the year, we were friends. And I think, I carry that that idea into my daily life, that sometimes you have to fight things out to be friends. I've met people online that I got into long arguments with, and they called me every name in the book, yet I gave them the space to explain themselves, and by the end they say, hey, you're not so bad, and we end up laughing it off. And then there are other people who, they have no intention whatsoever to get along or to make a discussion, and those are the ones that's just as easy to block and mute. So I just wanted to say that to the people out there in the internet land who may be being harassed. It's no different than being harassed in your daily life. It's just a matter of how you apply yourself to ignore it, or whether you're choosing to ignore it. And I've seen people get so defensive that they end up spending all their time making videos defending themselves, or they spend all their time on Facebook talking about how other people are so hurtful or hateful to them. And it bums me out. It makes me feel bad for the people, because I realize you do have it in yourself. You've got the power to change how you feel about that and about the world, And it goes back to Sonder, realizing we all have problems. It's really easy for one person to point at other people and say, you're a shitbag, you're a slime ball, you need to get your shit together, or you do drugs, or you're black, or you're white, or you're Jewish. And in the end, we forget that we're individuals, that generally we don't mean any harm by what we believe or what we do, that a person who is religious or is a drug abuser isn't a bad person because of that, but other people choose to see them that way. So, I don't know. Interesting life. It all comes down to what you want out of life. And if you want to be constantly in heartache and conflict, then you can choose that path. And a lot of people do. But sometimes it's easier to step back and say, wait a minute, what am I gaining from this? And ask a person, may ask themselves, what are they really gaining from putting others down? And it usually comes from an inner hurt or turmoil, something from their personal life. But if you try to bring that up, they're instantly defensive about it. How dare you bring anything up about my life? So it's best to just walk away. It's best to walk away. Those are my words for the day. I'm getting off my bench now and I'm getting going.